Inflation, climate change, continued conflict, and rising cost of food in the market are some of the key factors that are said to be affecting food insecurity. We have the farmer-herders clashes, also that is in the forefront affecting food insecurity. These and more are what we'll be delving into on The Outlook. The Outlook is a program where we discuss individuals, institutes, and professionals. And with me today is Mr. Uche. Is that the title I should use for you?
Uche is good, thank you.
Okay. He is the former Chief of Staff to the former Governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha. He was also a gubernatorial candidate in the 2019 election in Imo State under the Action Alliance Party. I got that right?
Yes.
He is presently a political analyst and an APC stalwart. You're welcome to Click Niger Studios.
Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers.
How do you do?
We're okay, we're fine.
You smiled when I talked about food insecurity. It's like you have so much to tell us about.
Because I'm hungry.
I'm also hungry too, but we are surviving.
Yes.
Before we continue, go onto YouTube to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the subscription button to always get notifications whenever we have beautiful content like this for you. You can follow us on other social media platforms. On Facebook, it's at Click Niger. On Instagram and X, it's at Click Niger1. Log on to our website to catch up with all trending stories on www.clickniger.gov.ng. My name is Elizabeth Ereke, your host. So I said continued conflict, climate change, inflation, the rising in the cost of food in the market are some of the key factors that are said to have caused insecurity in Nigeria. Aside this factor, do you think there are other things that have made the insecurity state of Nigeria what it is today?
You mean the food insecurity?
Food insecurity, yeah.
In fact, let me thank you for inviting me and also the viewers. I've said this several times that food insecurity cannot be determined by inflation alone, especially the issue of Nigeria and the contents of Nigeria as a nation. You look at the regions that produce the highest amount of food or agricultural produce in the country. You look at Northeast, you look at North Central, you look at Northwest, you look at some parts of South, the Southwest, the South, and some part of Southeast like Abakaliki and the rest. The major cause and the problem we are facing, while we have a large number of food insecurity in the country now, is because of insecurity itself. You go to Northeast, many farmers can't go to their farm again. I grew up in Maiduguri. I did my secondary school in government secondary school, Gubio. I remember those days that we have to trek for almost 5 kilometers going to help people to farm from my school, because that was a boarding school. We'll go and help people to farm granules. And during the harvest, we'll go there and they will put granules in large quantity and give to us. Then when we're going back to Maiduguri town, we pack our granule back to town. But they can't do that again now. Is it the farmers' herders conflict in the North Central? Remember we used to say that Benue is the food basket of the nation. Can those farmers go back to their farm? Is it just that we have the highest Irish potato production, or carrot, or lettuce? Can they go back to their farm again? Or is it in Katsina and the other places like KB where we have rice and the other? So it's not actually, we can't target inflation alone. The problem we are facing is insecurity itself, because the insecurity and food insecurity goes hand in hand. If we have a secured food, we have a secured farm where farmers can go. So totally, my own opinion is different. And what's my opinion? Insecurity is the main cause of food insecurity in the country.
Okay, now that you've identified that insecurity as a whole is the cause of food insecurity in Nigeria, if you're given an opportunity, what solution would you prefer to the government, because the government I think they are trying their best to see how they can stabilize and guarantee security of life property in Nigeria. But according to you, it's still the major cause of why we are facing food insecurity in Nigeria. What would you do differently? What would you prefer to be done differently to address this key factor that you have stated?
If I'm in that position to advise Mr. President, or if I'm in his position, first let me commend him for having that initiative and having that mind to have declared that there will be Minister of Livestock, and also looking at towards the agricultural area. The question we should ask ourselves, what is livestock? Livestock, from the definition, is raising animals in domesticated way through the agricultural platform in order to provide food, to provide eggs, meat, and even employment. But the question we'll ask is that, do that give livestock a ministry? If I'm to advise Mr. President, I would say, Your Excellency Mr. President, why don't we have Bureau for livestock?
But we even have...
Why don't we have agency for livestock? But that's an aside. But advising him is, first of all, Your Excellency, tackle the insecurity in those hubs where agricultural produce are produced higher. Once we tackle the insecurity, farmers in Adamawa can go to farm without thinking of Boko Haram. Farmers in Benue State can go to farm without thinking of headers. Farmers in Katsina, the farmers in Abakaliki who farm rice can comfortably go to their farm without thinking of the crisis, the unknown government there. The farmers in Southwest can comfortably go there without thinking of kidnappers in their farmland like Ondo, Ekiti, and the rest. If Mr. President is able to put his foot on ground and say, look, security agencies, I want this solved. Because if you don't solve this in the next 10 or 5 years, 200 and something million people with less than few food, even you, the security man, will go hungry. So that's the main thing Mr. President should do first.
Okay, you were talking about, I know I was coming to that question of the establishment of the Ministry of Livestock Development, which Mr. President said is to tackle livestock insecurity. In the Ministry of Agriculture, we have a Department of Husbandry. Rather than creating a Bureau of Livestock, like you said, we already have a committee headed by JEGA to curb or to interface and find a solution to the headers farmers conflict. Don't you think the Ministry of Husbandry, or the Department rather of Husbandry, should be strengthened to carry on with the assignment being given to this new ministry? Because he is also, the Mr. President is also talking about cutting cost of governance. How much will it cost to establish this ministry? What do you think about that? Strengthen the departments you already have, equip them with everything they need to do the same work the ministry you're creating is doing. Don't you think it's a duplicate?
Yes, I said it earlier on. I said if I'm to advise Mr. President, probably he has a reason why he decided to name it Ministry of Livestock. But if I'm around, I'm in that table where the discussion is being held, my own opinion and what I should tell Mr. President is, Mr. President, you are passionate about agriculture. For me, what you should do is that remove that livestock department from Ministry of Agri, make it Bureau for Livestock. The same way we have Pension Commission. Let it be directly under the presidency. You know, Pension Commission and some other agencies are directly under the presidency, supervised by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, reports direct to the President, where Mr. President can have a holistic view of the livestock issue. Remember when the issue of livestock is being handled, the headers farmers issue will stop. Oh, and you know also that even the livestock need farm produce to survive. So you cannot have that without some conflict with Ministry of Agri. So for me, the best thing Mr. President should do, knowing he's passionate about agriculture, is to have that department, or call it Bureau for Livestock or Agency for Livestock, get qualified. When I mean qualified individual to handle that place, because the problem is that Mr. President has that vision. Who are the people that are going to handle it? He's the visionary. The rest are his co-visioners. The ministers are his co-visioners. You might have a president that have this idea, quiet idea, good initiative, but you put people to go to the field and do it. When the last administration, I queried the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, where somebody will come to my local government, to my community and say, we have given 25,000 naira to 1,000 youths. And then I go home and say, how many money? They say, we didn't get money. We go back, we didn't get money, no money. And somebody will sit here, write list, and say that, how can you sit here without knowing what is happening in the rural area? Even, we're talking about farming. We're talking about agriculture. Some people here are farmers with their portfolio. They come here, speak big grammar, tell you, in fact, they can tell you the different type of fertilizers, different type of hoe, different type of tractor. By the time they're sweet on with coded honey inside, you will believe them, not knowing that they don't even have 1 square meter of farm in their places. Mr. President should avoid this group of people. He's passionate about agricultural sector. Get the right people, no sentiment. If that person is a farmer, in fact, I prefer Mr. President to go to the rural area and get a farmer who has farmed for 50 years. Whether it be a local farmer, make that person in charge of that livestock, than getting a big head with Babaliga, Abada, and the person will come and sit in Abuja and be telling Mr. President different stories from livestock. That's my view on that.
All right, the program is The Outlook, and I'm with Mr. Uche Nwosu, where we're discussing on food insecurity in Nigeria. So sometime in the year, there's been this clamor, there's been these agitations by Nigerians on the genetically modified crops, the maize that Mr. President ordered to be released to farmers as part of efforts to boost up food security in the country. And recently, even the House of Reps have called for the suspension of this move. What do you think about introducing genetically modified crops into Nigeria agricultural system?
Now you're speaking about this. Let me tell you something. A few days ago, I and my friend, I told my driver to go and get roasted corn. So he bought those corns with pear, and we were eating the corn, and the taste was
it's not corn again.
I said, this is not corn. My friend said, what do you mean? I said, taste. He said, no, this one doesn't have taste. Which corn is this? He says it's corn from Benin Republic. I said, no, this is not, because I know the corn we eat, very sweet and tasty. I know the beans we eat, very sweet and tasty. I know the grains and millet we eat, very sweet and tasty. There's a way you introduce some produce with a lot of chemicals, and before you know it, you have the food. But would that food satisfy we, that individual, or would it have a side effect on the body? So I agree with the members of the National Assembly. We have labs in Ibadan. We have agricultural labs. They should go and look at it and see whether this is acceptable for the body in Nigeria. Or you go to China these days, you see that there are a lot of things. You can use 1 grain of rice and you can even get 30 or 50 grain of rice without seed of rice. But we have our own way of life in Nigeria and in Africa. Our system and our body is not the same thing with theirs. So I agree with them. For them to start that, they should take these seeds, or whatever we call it, to Ibadan and look at it critically, examine it inside the lab before they can give to farmers. I told you about the corn I tasted. I said, this is not corn.
I'm also a living
I don't want to eat yam and say, this yam is not our
yam. And with the way it's going very soon, if we allow this to come in, of course, that is what will be happening. Yes. So now, Nigerian youths, civil servants are being encouraged to go into agriculture, which, of course, you know is not in large-scale quantity. And even those, like we've already said, that want to venture into large-scale production of agricultural produce are even scared, even in the cities, to even, you understand, to even go into farming. I would give an example just on a lighter note. I know of someone that has a big plot of land in the city, in the Federal Capital Territory, in one of the suburbs, Gwagwalada precisely, and fenced, well fenced. This is rainy season, this is corn period, this is when they plant. Do you know he is a retired civil servant, went there, planted corn, planted yam, and when his crop produce started coming up, he went to his farm, to do the necessary weeding and all whatnot, only to meet a part of his farm, the fence of his land broken, and he saw cows inside eating this. I know a lot of people would have witnessed this too. Now, to even go inside to apprehend or to caution the headsman that led them there, the security man he employed ran away that he cannot because they threatened to hurt him. With this kind of situation, with this kind of experiences, even at your backyard, do you think it's enough motivation for people to even plant at their backyard? What could be done aside? I don't know. I don't even know what measures could be done even in your backyard to at least provide for you and your family, because the way it's going, very soon we'll all die of hunger, like you are saying.
And we will not die of hunger.
Amen.
You made mentions. You said something that touched me, and that is what we call those days backyard farm, or what do you call it?
Yeah.
Those days that when I was in school, I used to have this teacher in Shehu Sande Academy Primary School. Even when I started my Prosper Village, normally they take us there to do garden eggs and all those things. I want to commend the wife of Mr. President. Most people would think that what she did by coming out to showcase that she has a small garden at her back of her house where she can farm. What she's telling us is that, look, nobody is above farming, no matter your position in this country. Time has come when, even though you have like 10 or 20 grains planted at your backyard, very okay. Secondly, you made mention of somebody with that has a farm and then cows coming in. I've said it. The problem we have is that some of these our brothers, the Fulanis, most of them are not well educated, especially the headers. Because if you educate them very well, believe me that Fulani man will know that allowing his child that is 3 years to trek from Katsina to Shobo is wrong. And the problem we have is that most of our leaders don't want it. They don't want it because they know if these young ones are educated, probably most of them will lose their job. So I wouldn't say that the issue we have now is the issue where we use security men and start shooting and say, no, it's education. Somebody told me something one day. He said that you going home, as you are now, you have a security man, and by getting to your house, the security man is not at the gate, and you were pumping your home, pam, pam, pam. Look at the security man running from the back of your house, coming to open gate and start shouting, why are you opening? Why did you start shouting at the security man? Or even your driver, make him start shouting at your driver. And he told me, do you know why you should not shout at them? Because if they have the knowledge and the education you have, they won't be there. Treat them at their own level. Treat the security man at his own level. That's his understanding. Then he can leave his gate and go back to get something. But to you that is educated, that have a master's, your PhD, it is not right. To those headers and their kids, that's their understanding. That wherever there is green is to go and eat. If we educate them very well from their children, have like a small school like President Goodluck did, modernize school in those their squatters places, and teach them, look, what you are doing is wrong, because even you yourself that is going to eat those maize or those corn or those granite, you also need granite, you also need corn, you also need yam, you also need rice. You can't feed on cow and the milk from year to year. Make them to understand it. You see, they will stop this. But it runs back to what I called insecurity, tackling insecurity for us to have a secure Nigeria and then have a secured food system in the country. So it's all about mindset and how the government of the day, Mr. President, which I believe so much well. I don't know, I believe that he will handle this matter, but my thinking is that I still have doubt in some of the people in key position. That's my challenge, but he has the vision to get this country right. But the people, some of the people will be an issue for him. If he, Mr. President, don't get a round peg in a round hole, getting a square peg in a round hole, it will not enter. You struggle the whole of the day, it will not fit.
Well, what if they now recount the square peg to become a round hole? Anyway, that's by the way. So let us look at accessibility of grains for Nigerian farmers. How accessible? Just like you said when you were talking about funds, people with big portfolios, we still have these local farmers crying that we hear, oh, they've released so tons of grains, so tons of rice, but yet the local farmer is still crying that they've not gotten these things, they've not gotten the fertilizers, they've not gotten this grain. How do you think this produce should be made more accessible to these people? Yes, they've even triggered it down to the local government areas, but what measure of supervision should be done to ensure that these people actually, this thing gets down to those people that they are targeting?
You see, sometimes I wonder, why is it that in Nigeria as a country, why is it that no young person wants to go into farming?
Because it's not, should I answer you? Maybe because it's not, they don't feel it's lucrative enough.
Thank you. Not only lucrative, what you just mentioned. If I'm a young man and I'm into farming, I'm in Jos, and I need fertilizer, I need hoe, I need tractor, I need this, and it's not coming. And I will go to the farm and use one hoe and farm 1 hectare of land. At the end of the day, my hand will be like, if I slap somebody, the person, the mark will show on that person's ear. And you look at yourself, you are frustrated. And you look at another person in the bank doing very well. What do? You abandon that and move to white collar job. Let me tell you, the problem we have is that I have a farm in Owerri. At the time, my poultry farm was getting 350 crates of egg every day. I have a fish pond, 200 and something thousand fish inside. But the younger ones and the youth around me, whenever I bring them to farm, they say, so now start pushing chickens and I'll start doing, find something else for you and let me do. See their mentality. Yeah. The people I'm talking about that are the issues in this country are the people with portfolio, as we have said. Those ones that wear red cap, those ones that wear babariga, those ones that come to Abuja and become minister for agric or DG of agric or SA of agric without without even having 1 square meter of land as a farm. For you to be a minister now, you must have a farm now. You can't be a minister, a theoretical minister. You can't be a theoretical DG of land and agriculture when you don't even have 1 grain, when you have not planted a maize before in your life. These are the issue. That's why when you give them tools to give to the farmers, they don't care. Because they don't have the farm. They don't know what fertilizer is meant for. Some of them don't even know what hoe or what tractor is meant for. You give them the tractor to go and give to the farmer, they will sell it. Because they don't care about it. But if you have people, genuine people in different positions, like Mr. President is hitting about agriculture. If Mr. President has genuine people that are there, bet me, release fertilizer, it will go back to those people. Because the minister or the director or the person there knows that once this thing gets to these people, the food insecurity in the country will be curtailed. Yeah. But the problem is that who are the people that will take this Mr. President vision to the grassroots? Are they still the people with agbada and red cap and people that have their briefcase with 30 different type of letterheads inside? Are that the people we are talking about? So we have to encourage our farmers. Apart from the insecurity, the major problem is the equipment. I have a friend in Panshin, Plateau State. Big farm, granules, carrots. But what is your problem, my friend? He doesn't have the equipment. And you see equipment gets to federal government, go out, but it doesn't get to the end point where these farmers will use it. So that's basically the problem we have.
So let's take this as a wake-up call to all those in the agricultural sector that we need to sit up. If we must tackle food insecurity in Nigeria, first we should tackle insecurity. And at our own level, we should do well that produce, equipment, and all that a young or old Nigerian who wants to venture into farming needs to actually at least give a sense of security to food would be made available to them as and when due. On this note, we call it a wrap on this edition of the outlook. Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Uche Nwosu.
Thank you
I
very,
must say
very
you
much.
really did justice. You bared your mind. And I hope those that are being affected would listen, take note, and work towards making our food security much, much better for us, because on the long run, when things are cheap for you, when things are cheap for me, everybody smiles. When you're secured, I'm secured, and we all will have a better Nigeria. This is where we draw the curtains. Don't forget to run. Yes, I said you should run to our YouTube channel. Hit on the subscription button. Subscribe to our channel so that you get notified on all our trending, hot gist videos and all. We're also on Facebook at Click Niger. Follow us on Instagram and X at Click Niger 1. My name is Elizabeth Ereke. Bye for now.